But we'll call her Shanae, or we'll call her Shay for short, okay? Just because we don't all know how to spell Shanae. Okay, and Shanae, or Shay, or Shanae, was walking through the woods on a beautiful summer morning. You guys all can you picture the beautiful morning in the woods? Okay. Now, little Shanae, she was going to go visit her father. Her father was working in the woods chopping lumber down. And little Shay, she was going to go take lunch to her father. As she was walking along, first thing that happened is she came across a group of bunnies. And they were hopping across the trail. You guys, can you picture the bunnies? What color are the bunnies?
White,
Yellow.
White.
White,
Yellow.
purple, pink.
Yellow.
So she waited for them. She took a few pictures because she likes little fuzzy animals. And then the next thing that happened is she came up by a pond, and she came across a group of, what lives in a pond? Frogs. So she came across some frogs, and guess what the frogs were doing?
They were croaking.
They were croaking, they were hopping around. They were basically having fun in the water. And so little Shay, she was happy. She'd just seen some bunny rabbits. She'd just seen some frogs, two of her favorite animals. And so she kept walking. She was kind of skipping, going to see her dad. When all of a sudden she heard this rustling in the trees. Because, she didn't have an iPod. She didn't have any music. All she heard was the sounds of nature. And it kept getting closer. Until she stopped. Just to make sure it wasn't herself, she kind of looked around. What is it? What was it?
It was a squirrel.
She was freaking out. She was freaking out. Because, I don't know about you guys, but if you were in the woods by yourself, the bunnies and the frogs were all way behind you, and you heard a sound, and it was loud, I'd freak out too. So she was like, okay, I'm going to run. So she runs to her dad.
And trips.
And trips. She runs and she trips. And the sound gets closer and closer.
And she chased people like this. But she
We should have Lane tell the story.
She's terrified.
No, she goes back to the police and says,
No,
she
she turns around and sees the machine.
She turns around and she's decided she's going to fight it because she can't outrun it. She's got little legs. So she's going to fight the monster. Well, the monster ends up being her little brother. And she makes it.
She beats up
She wants to beat up her little brother. But
And
they
her
make
little
it
brother's
safely.
name is Little Ray.
Little Ray Ray and little Shay Nay. They make it to their dad, they give him the lunch, and then she makes sure that her brother walks with her back to her house because she was afraid that something else might be out in the woods. Okay, so what was the exposition? How did it begin?
Shanae was walking on a beautiful sunny day in the woods.
Walking in woods. After we finish this, you may. Okay, who are our main characters?
Shanae and Ray Ray.
Shay. But do we know Ray Ray at the beginning? No. Who else do we know at the beginning besides Shanae?
Bunny rabbits and frogs.
Do we know that at the very beginning?
Just herself.
At the
Her dad.
climax.
Her dad. Okay, and then what is the setting? The woods. Okay, what happens first while she's walking through the woods?
She sees rabbits.
I'm going to go with bunnies because bunnies are cuter than rabbits. And then what happens after she sees bunnies?
She kills one.
What's the difference between a bunny and a rabbit?
Nothing really. It's mostly just the name.
Bunny and rabbit.
Bunny just sounds cuter, doesn't it? Okay, what happens next after she sees the bunny?
She throws a rock and
She got scared. She trips. She starts running and trips.
But does she do anything before she starts running?
Take pictures.
She heard something. Here's a noise.
And it was the bird.
And then what does she do after that?
She
starts running.
goes
Stop.
back.
She stops. Now let me ask you, what part is the climax?
When
When
she
she
runs
runs
back.
Okay. Runs and trips. Okay, and then what happens next?
She
She's
trips
gonna fight.
and then stands up and decides to fight.
Okay.
Aliens.
Fight. Okay, and then what happens next after she decides to fight?
She finds out it's her brother.
Oh,
Brother
no,
comes out.
Then Baloo came.
Baloo? The bear? Okay. And then what happens next? Does anything happen after her brother comes out?
They
Bring up Baloo.
she survives.
Tarzan brought him home.
I think I'd rather hear Kayleen's version of the story. Survives, gives dad food, and she walks home with her brother, right? But does everybody live happily ever after?
Nope.
No.
Well, in my story they do, because I like happy endings.
But she doesn't. She's still
There's
scared.
not
She is still scared, isn't she? Okay, now here's a really hard question. What is the theme? Do you guys remember talking about theme?
Comedy.
That's more of like a genre.
What's the thing?
I like the main idea. What's the main idea of this story?
To fight against
Good. Go see her
what's
dad.
behind you.
Okay. Okay, so don't be scared or fight.
That's the lesson I'm never gonna learn.
What about fight your fear?
Fight your fear. Yeah.
Awesome.
That sound good? Okay, now here's my last question. Is there any symbols in this? Like in Cinderella, there's the glass slipper. In Snow White, there's the apple.
The bunny.
The bunnies. What do the bunnies represent?
7 dwarves.
What do the bunnies represent?
The grumpy ones.
Nature.
Nature. They represent nature. What else do they represent? Are they good or are they bad?
Bad. Both.
Well, she was happy when she saw the bunnies, wasn't she?
They turned on her and bit
Okay, now what I want you guys to do is I want you to turn to the person sitting next to you. Okay. And I want you to decide which story is your favorite story from when you were a kid. Like Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast or Jungle Book.
Pocahontas.
Any story that you think you know. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. I want you to talk to the person sitting next to you, not me. And I want you to choose yours.
The story
Fox
of
in the
Teletubbies when I first heard them talk.
I remember I was watching it when I was small.
Or just story.
What was your
One, two, I know what I'm thinking. I'll pick up Fox in the House. Family Guy.
Lion King is the first one. Look at how many large readings.
Okay, did everybody choose what they're going to do?
I did.
Okay, can I have your guys' help, please?
You still could do the bathroom.
Okay, Leonard, which one did you choose? Lion King. Kayleen, which one did you choose? Tom and Jerry. What did you choose? Rachel. Okay, Ben, what about you? What did you choose? Brother Bear. Nicole, what did you choose? Okay. Good. Okay, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to give you guys a plot diagram, and I'm going to have you go ahead and fill it out for your own story. Okay? See, that's why I said you guys need to choose something that you know really well.
Nemo.
I know Tom and Jerry.
Actually,
I know that.